Hello and welcome to the SAP ERP Supply Chain Management Training for New Beginners. Now, the SAP ERP Supply Chain Management Training for New Beginners is an essential course for those within the supply chain or those who are aspiring to have a career in supply chain and are new to the SAP ERP. This training has two major sessions. We have the introduction session that is going to introduce several of the concepts, and then also we have the second session, which is the demo session. And I would like you to take every bit of this training because they are all very valuable, right? Okay, so we have the demo session where we'll have you see the navigation and how to create a purchase requisition. Now, the purchase requisition document is used by all all departments within the organization. So we're going to see how that is used and how the SAP ERP handles that within the supply chain. All right, so let's get into it. Now, this training is for those who want to remain relevant in their career. It's for proactive people within the supply chain. Now, only proactive people are successful in their career. People look out for those who have been exceptional and successful in career. You find out that these are people who are proactive, right? So they position themselves to take advantage of the change. So they look at the trends and they set themselves at the current of the trend, and they just flow easily and excel in their career. So professionals are proactive people. You have to be proactive, otherwise when change comes, because change always comes, and some people become victims of change while some people profit from change. So it depends on your positioning. So I think it's a good time for you to make your profile attractive and get a skill that is aligned to the digital transformation realities. So introduction. What is supply chain? Supply chain is a network of retailers, distributors, transporters, storage facilities, and suppliers that participate in the supply, delivery, production, and sales of a particular product. It could also be in the delivery of services. All right. In its simplest form, a supply chain is the activities required by the organization to deliver goods or services to the customer. This is according to CIPS. A supply chain involves purchasing, inbound logistics, warehousing for products, production, outbound logistics, delivery to customers or consumers. All right, so supply chain is the activities, the operations that are required, all right, to source for items from a supplier or a vendor, process such items or service, and deliver it to the customer. In the scenario of service, you could have, maybe for instance, you're an internet service provider. Okay, so apart from the internet spectrum that you buy, you also buy certain hardware. You purchase certain hardware from vendors, like your routers and other hardware that you require to deliver such service to your customers. Okay, so that is for supply chain. These are the activities that are required for such operations to be done. So from sourcing, processing, and delivery. Next, we'll look at supply chain management. First was, what is supply chain? Now that we know what supply chain, I'm sure many of you in supply chain already understand this. You know what supply chain, but for the purpose of those who are new to supply chain, we need to explain a bit further. So supply chain management, this has to do with the methodologies and strategies used to influence the activities of the supply chain for more efficiency, right? So you can manage the supply chain, and to do that, organizations, professionals have to develop strategies, methodologies that are used to operate these activities, influence these activities, to make it effective and efficient. For the effective management of the supply chain, certain tools can be used, and SAP ERP provides probably the most efficient solution to manage your supply chain. Right, so SAP ERP is one tool, a business solution that provides you with what the requirements to strategies to manage your supply chain. Okay, so the thing is, what is SAP ERP, or rather, what is ERP? SAP is a company, so it's about ERP. ERP is a software that is used to automate, integrate, and optimize business processes in an organization. It is used to automate, integrate, and optimize business processes. All right, them sharing their data from a single database. Processes like sales, like purchasing or procurement, inventory management, warehouse, production, HR, financial accounting, plant maintenance, quality management, and so on. All right, so these processes are all integrated together with the ERP. So ERP is an amazing solution, that will always be here. And to let you also know that ERP is fast becoming the worldwide workplace ecosystem. What that means is that all business transactions, critical business transactions, are now carried out using the ERP. Okay, so very, very important that you take note of that. 3 supply chain management concepts within the SAP ERP. So this begins to give us some sense of how the SAP ERP impacts supply chain. One is the material flow, information flow, and financial flow. The supply chain is effectively and efficiently managed by the SAP ERP system using these concepts. Organizations that have well implemented and utilized the ERP gain competitive advantage in their markets and increase profit margin. Right, so you have the material flow, all right, of supply chain. Okay, because you are going to be purchasing a material or item. You are going to also either produce or process such materials, and also deliver such materials, either processed ones, to your customers, right? And then there is the information flow also that involves, and the financial flow. So we'll look at that more in details. All right, supply chain material flow concepts. This concept captures the movement of materials from the supplier to the organization and then on to the customer or consumer, including the process of return delivery. So, like as I stated earlier, the material, the movement of materials. So you're buying certain items. Okay, let's say if we take the scenario of a manufacturing company or a production company. Okay, so we need to buy certain raw materials from our vendors. Okay, so when we receive such raw materials, for instance, we need to buy sodium chloride, we need to buy maybe vitamin A, and these are certain components that we use for the manufacturing of let's say manufacturing of detergents. All right, so when we manufacture the detergents, they become finished products, and the materials are also transported to the customers that's required, or the consumers. All right, so this is a flow of materials. Now SAP is able to manage this material flow, and we're going to look at that further. The challenge of managing the flow of material has compelled thriving organizations to adopt the use of the ERP solution, which provides visibility of their material flow and allow them to be flexible and responsive to their customers. In turn, such organizations enjoy competitive advantage and increase market share. All right, so the ERP, one of the things that it does is that it brings good visibility of your process. So when there are issues, you are able to identify those issues before they become problem. Okay, and then of course it makes you to be very flexible and responsive to your customers, and when that happens, there's good customer relationship. You do better business, so you increase your market share because your customers are more satisfied. Okay, so the ERP helps in making this happen. So let's look at the supply chain information flow concept. This concept captures the various transmission of relevant information from the customer requirement. So the customer has a requirement, and then the customer sends this requirement to you, like placing an order, a sales order, all right, to the organization, then from the organization to the vendor. All right, so because of the customer's order, we have to so the organization have to make requests. Okay, so we have a situation where we supply detergents to customers. So we produce detergents and supply to customers, right? So when customers place their order, they communicate with us. All right, so SAP, the ERP system, the SAP ERP system helps to manage this information flow. All right, so they communicate with us, they communicate their requirement with us. Okay, so because of that order, we are able to see within the organization that we have a shortfall, or we will require sodium chloride, for instance, as a raw material. So we place an order for the vendor to supply us sodium chloride. So we are communicating information with the vendor. SAP manages this very well, and of course the vendor may also have to communicate with us. For instance, we could tell the vendor that we want it delivered in 2 weeks, and the vendor can communicate back to us to say, oh, we can deliver this in 2 weeks and 2 days. Or the vendor could say they are not able to deliver the 1,000 bags or tons of sodium chloride, that they can do 700, right? So the vendor could also communicate with us, and of course when they do their eventually supply, they communicate, because they're going to send in the items. You have a delivery note, or a bill of lading, or a way bill, right? So these are communications, okay. And also delivering it to the customer, the organization will have to communicate with the customer. So with all these, there is information flow. It also involves the internal management of business information. Real-time information updates is achieved using ERP, and it enables such organizations show customers and vendors viability by using real-time information, and this gives them edge in the competition of the market competition. Now we look at the supply chain financial flow concept. This concept captures the movement of financial values, credit or debit, between accounts. All right. So when you are withdrawing from your inventory, for instance, there are debits. When you are adding, there are credits and there are debits. All right. So this happens as you have your material flow, information flow. There is also the financial impact. All right. So that's the financial flow. In the ERP system, when materials are moved, financial accounting documents are created to give simultaneous record of financial impact of such material movement in real time. With this, organizations are enabled to report true financial status of both external and internal financial activities. Right. So how SAP ERP handles supply chain material flow. So this is a chart that gives us how the SAP ERP handles your supply chain material flow. So you have triggered within the SAP ERP system, a material item is created in materials management module. So also you are going to observe that these things also pass through different modules. Then the second step, the requirement is initiated by a sales order in sales. SD means sales and distribution, or production production order in PP. PP means production planning. All right. So you see these are different modules within the ERP. There is materials management that covers procurement, that covers inventory management and the rest. Then you have sales and distribution, you have production planning. All right. So we're saying that the requirement is usually initiated by sales. So a customer is placing an order, a requirement, or production needs to produce something, and of course requirement comes for the material to be purchased. Now the third step, the requirement is passed on to the purchasing in MM. MM means materials management, and the purchasing requirement is sent to the vendor with relating to instructions on delivery date, quantity, and price. The vendor, that's the next step. The vendor sends the material and it is received in inventory under materials management, warehouse management. That's WMMWM. Now, this also optionally may be subject to quality inspection in quality management. All right, so you could have quality inspection if it is set up in the SAP system. Now, once approved, the material may be stored in a warehouse using warehouse management. Then next step, the material may be used for production in a production order, that's in production planning, or be part of a larger project defined in the project systems. Now, when a final product or ordered item is available for the customer, it can be picked, packed within the warehouse and shipped to the customer using the outbound delivery in sales and distribution SD. So you see how the material flowed through the SAP system. Now, while this is happening, there is good visibility of these processes. Also, your inventory is well managed so that you don't have too much inventory. You have the right quantity of inventory that you need per time. There is good reporting, there is good monitoring, and all this, put together with the ERP, you're able to get an effective and efficient supply chain. Alright, so let's look at the next one, which is how SAP ERP handles supply chain information flow. Okay, so an order, that's information. There's the order has information in it. All right, is sent from the customer via EDI. EDI means electronic data interchange, directly into the SAP ERP system or via email, etc., and other means. All right, so but the catch there is that information from the customer is transmitted to the organization. All right, so from there the organization takes it up. Automatically the system does stock availability check. All right, and the information is obtained via the sales order availability check in inventory. If stock is not sufficient to fulfill the order, the requirement information is passed on to MRP. MRP is material requirement planning. You see how integrated this thing is. All right, so information is sent back to the customer given the delivery date. So if we don't have stock, it means we may not be able to deliver the same date that the customer has requested. So we might need to communicate back with the customer to make the customer understand the new date that we could deliver, and if it is fine, then we can go ahead to process that order. All right, now next, MRP use requirement information to consider production factor if you have to produce, then create production order and pass on information necessary for purchasing. Okay, so if we have to produce it, there might be some raw materials that we probably might need to purchase. All right, so the information in the procurement system creates orders with required delivery dates that are transmitted to vendors. The return information from the vendor confirms the date of delivery of the material. So all these are information that are passed on from one stage to another within the supply chain. Upon receipt of the material, information is passed from the receiving documents to the warehousing system, that's WM, to store the material correctly. Right, then the next step, the information is passed to the production system, that's PP. PP means production planning, to calculate if the production order is ready to commence. When the material is ready to ship, SAP produces information for shipping in sales and distribution and can send that information to the customer. So you see, there's information flow is captured, and it is key. It is key because this is what is used to respond if there are issues. You can quickly respond once you have good visibility of the information flow, and the SAP ERP provides that, and that is why more and more organizations see them adopting the use of SAP ERP. Okay, so let's look at the third one, how SAP ERP handles supply chain information flow. Oh, sorry, I think this is supposed to be financial. This is supposed to be financial flow, not information flow. Okay, just a minute. Let me correct this. It should be that should be financial flow now. Alright, so that should be financial flow. So let me do this. Okay, it has changed now. Alright, so for the financial flow, so while all these transactions are happening, activities, they all have impact, financial impact. Alright, so for instance, when the vendor invoices received by the company from its vendors is being processed in SAP ERP. So when a vendor have supplied, they'll give you their invoice. Alright, so the data or information for their deliveries and payment is within the invoice. Alright, so the payments to the vendors processed by account payables. Also, you have accounting transactions there. Okay, so for instance, when you post goods receipt, the stock account is usually debited, and the goods receipts and invoice receipts clearing account is credited. So just like that, you have accounts being debited and credited. Alright, so the payments to the vendors processed by the account payable, then the billing of the customers for the materials. So you supply the customer. You also have to send a bill, an invoice to the customer. Alright, billing the customer for the items that were delivered to the customer. Okay, then incoming payment processed by the account receivable. So these are some of the accounting impacts that are captured within the supply chain. Okay, and there are more than this. This is just like an overview, but there are more than this. So you see that the SAP ERP system is able to capture all these things, and you have a system that provides for you a strong source of truth. Now, why learn SAP ERP business processes within the supply chain? Why should you learn? The benefits of acquiring ERP skill. You are exposed to the global best practice on such aspects of the supply chain. It aligns your skill with the current digital transformation trend. Alright, so this is the digital age. Everybody, if you're applying for a position today, and you look at your profile and you don't have certain digital skills, it may make your profile look so mundane, right? And people may not really take you serious, right? So beyond just experience, you need to align your skill with digital realities. Okay, You need to, and I think ERP is a major skill. ERP is a major skill. Whether your organization is running on ERP currently or not, you need to get that skill ASAP. You need to get the ERP skill ASAP because it is different from other software solution. ERP is an enterprise solution. It actually creates your enterprise, replicates your organization in a virtual space. And so what you have today is that people can work from different locations virtually as though they are together working in the same office. All right, I can be in Belgium and I will raise a purchase requisition, and someone a manager in Hong Kong will approve the requisition, and someone else in the United States would convert that a purchase requisition into a purchase order. Probably maybe that's where the vendor is that is supposed to supply. All right, and it will not so it will not show. It will just be a seamless you know, work from different locations. It adds very high worth to your career value. Really, you can't overemphasize that, right? So since ERP is fast becoming the work ecosystem, the skill keeps you compliant with the current trend in required skill set for today's work environment. It's a strategy to become more relevant in your organization if they currently use any ERP solution. You become an indispensable asset to your organization if they currently use SAP ERP. This skill will give you an edge in the labor marketplace and during interviews. It gives you the leverage to negotiate for a good salary. The SAP solution consultant skill is a proof against job insecurity. We have two areas of the SAP ERP. We have the functional area and the technical area. The technical area is IT. That's where you have basis, ABAP. Basis are system administrators. ABAP are programmers. So you need to have background in programming to go into that area. Then you have the functional area, which is the business area. All right. So FI stands for financial accounting. CO stands for control. Sometimes they are combined as FICO. You have HCM, that's human capital management, materials management, sales and distribution, quality management, and so on. Production planning, and so on. These are functional areas, not IT. So the SAP ERP is not an IT project. It's a business project. About SAP ERP, SAP has the most robust and best ERP software solution in the market today. SAP has the largest ERP market share worldwide. That means most organizations that use ERP use SAP ERP. SAP ERP has two major areas that I talked about: the functional and the technical areas. 91% of Forbes Global 2000 are SAP customers. 208 of the 250 top retailers in the world run on SAP solutions, and so on. So you see all these statistics. It shows you the power of the SAP ERP. SAP ERP modules within the supply chain. What are the modules within the supply chain? Now, I want you to note something. There is a standalone solution called SAP ERP Supply Chain, SCM, Supply Chain Management, SCM. All right, but it's a standalone solution. But the power of the ERP is that it takes all these and then integrate them with other modules or business processes like finance, like HR, like plant maintenance and the likes, production planning. Okay, no, production planning is within the supply chain. Okay, so that's the power of the ERP. Okay, so let's see, for instance, you are within the supply chain and you want to take a training in the SAP ERP. What areas, what modules or business processes is suitable for you? First is the SAP ERP Materials Management, or MM module. Now, this is one that is relevant for supply chain professionals. SAP ERP Materials Management module is the backbone of the supply chain in organizations. It is used to ensure the availability of material items at the right time and right price. SAP ERP MM comprises of the following business processes: purchasing, inventory management, logistics, invoice verification, physical inventory, material requirement planning as MRP. For who? Supply chain professionals, procurement professionals, purchasing professionals, inventory or store management professionals, or anyone who aspires to build career in any of the above area. Then you have the SAP ERP Sales and Distribution module. Alright, so this is also part of the supply chain. Now, SAP ERP Sales and Distribution SD is part of the supply chain process and automates the sales order to cash process. SAP ERP SD covers processes like quotation, sales, outbound delivery, contract management, billing, etc. And it's for who? For sales and marketing professionals, supply chain professionals, and anyone who aspires to build career in any of the above areas. Then you have the SAP ERP Logistics Execution LE module. SAP ERP Logistics Execution handles the transportation and shipping planning and provides efficient delivery of products to customers within the supply chain. This module is highly integrated with warehouse management and sales processes, even materials management. SAP ERP LE covers processes like outbound delivery, inbound delivery, picking, packing, route, and shipping determination. The training can be combined with warehouse management or combined with sales and distribution. It depends on you. For who? Logistics professionals, supply chain professionals, and anyone who aspires to build career in that area. Then you have the SAP ERP Warehouse Management module. The SAP ERP Warehouse Management module handles the storage, planning, and operations within, including inventory of materials within the supply chain. This module is highly integrated with logistics execution, materials management, and sales processes. SAP ERP WM, which is warehouse management, covers processes like stock management unit functionality, put away process, removal process, storage type functionality, and many more. The training can be combined with logistics execution or materials management. So when you combine, it means you are doing two modules together. Alright, so you have the SAP ERP Production Planning, PP. The SAP ERP Production Planning is the supply chain stage that is used to plan and execute effective and efficient production or manufacturing activities. Planning and provides efficient delivery of products to customers. Manufacturing activities planning and provides efficient delivery of products to customers. This module is highly integrated with materials management, etc., of course, sales and other areas like even HR for manpower. SAP ERP PPP covers processes like plan, order, production, order processing, technical completion, goods issue, and goods received, etc. Production is for production professionals, production managers, line managers, supervisors in production. Alright, then you have supply chain professionals or anyone who aspires in that area. Then you have the SAP ERP Quality Management module. Now, the QM may not be very popular, but within the supply chain, but it's relevant. All right, in a standard environment, the QM is very, very vital. All right, so SAP ERP Quality Management is also a vital part of the supply chain, because at various stages of the supply chain, quality checks are necessary. This module is highly integrated with materials management, production planning, etc. The SAP ERP PP covers, oh come on, PP, no, this should be QM, sorry. That should be QM, not PP. Alright, so the SAP ERP QM covers processes like general notification, processing, quality control, inspection planning, inspection lot creation, quality certificates, etc. Quality management professionals are some of the people that can take this, or anyone, supply chain professionals too can take this. Alright, SAP ERP skill levels. You have the level 1, which is the new user training. This also is part of the new user training. This is the that's for beginners. Alright, this is the preliminary training level for all new users of the SAP ERP system. It covers the introductory content and user navigation. We are running this training for free for now. Duration is just 1 day, and the fee is $50, which is 20,000 naira for those in Nigeria. All right, so but we're running this particular training free, and I think in that course we already have the navigation there. Probably maybe would give you a link to that course so that you look at the navigation. Then you have the level 2, which is the end user business process training. This training is for end users who will be responsible for the day-to-day business transactions in an organization. It is business specific. So for instance, financial accounting business process for accountants, auditors, sales and distribution business process for sales, marketing, supply chain personnel, procurement business process for buyers, purchasing, inventory, and so on. So you have it's actually specific to business processes. All right, and you have a 1 month free SAP ERP software server access and a certificate of training. The duration is 2 days, and the fee is $160, which is 60,000 naira in Nigeria. Then you have the 3rd level, which is the SAP Super User Training. This training is a more advanced level. Super users primarily give support to the business process apart from their role as end users. That means they can work as end users also. They can train end users, help end users resolve business process issues, and can create or modify master records. The super user courses are sales and distribution super user, materials management super user, plant maintenance super user, financial accounting or human capital management HR super user trainings. There are others with more price, like SAP Basis for system admins, business intelligence, financial accounting and control. So for this skill level, we will give you a 2 month free SAP ERP software server access, and of course a certificate of training. Duration is 3 days and is $400 or 150,000 naira. Then you have the fourth level, which is the solution consultant training. This training is for those who want to build their career as SAP solution consultants. SAP consultants are one of the highest paid professionals worldwide. So, as a SAP solution consultant, you can advise or recommend and implement SAP business process with best practice. You can customize functional processes, train super users and end users. You will be able to give support to organizations that run on SAP ERP. You have a wider horizon of job opportunities. You can work as an end user, super user, or as a consultant in organizations. That's in organizations that run on SAP, or you can work as a consultant with organizations that implement SAP, or you can work as an independent consultant. This training is also the certification training. It means this training prepares you for the SAP certification training, certification exam, and then of course when you pass the exam you get certified. That means you can further sit for the SAP Global Certification exam and get certified. You get a 4 months free SAP ERP software server access and a certificate of training with us. You can also join our on-demand SAP implementation project to accelerate your implementation project experience. It comes with a cost. The duration of this training is 8 days, and the fee is $1,000 or 400,000 Nigerian naira. Recent business trend favoring ERP growth. Business process re-engineering is one of them. Most large companies, and not just large companies today, but even medium companies and SMEs, are tending to cut in-house development costs, improve customer service, and speed products to market by reorganizing their existing business processes. Globalization. As businesses are becoming more global in scope, people are demanding packaged corporate applications that are available in a variety of languages with support for multiple currencies. The integration, as more and more companies are going for business process re-engineering, there is increase in demand for integrated solution. Different applications sharing a common database and thus enabling data definition and business results to be applied across an entire organization with the facility of doing modification at one location only. So these are some of the business trends that favor. So ERP is going to stay, it's going to be here as long as as long as we're on earth. It's going to be here, right? Because of the concept. So it's a key concept of integrating solutions together. All right, so now we'll look at the navigation. This is the second session where we look at the navigation. Now I have a video already on that covers navigation, but we'll quickly look at that also within and quickly do some demo. So let's look at this. Logging on to the SAP ERP system. the SAP GUI and SAP Logon. Right, now you can access SAP systems using front-end program within a variety of designs. Almost all SAP components are, however, accessible using a general front-end program, the SAP Graphical User Interface, or SAP GUI. GUI stands for Graphical User Interface. Several variants of the SAP GUI are available. These variants are all graphically equivalent but adopted for use in different environments. Now, there's a reason why we have these two images here. Now, this icon is the version 750, which is the current one of the most recent versions. All right, so the design, you see that it has changed from this between 710 and version 740. Okay, so there are still many organizations that are using this version, this icon. So this is such organization. This is the kind of icon you see there. Whereas some who have updated their version, you see this. So either way, at least you can recognize it, right? So the SAP GUI program connects the front-end computer with the specific SAP system. To start the SAP GUI, the SAP provides another program called the SAP Logon. So this is the SAP Logon. This is the old model, the old GUI. You can see this one is 710, while this one is 750. So this is what you see for 750. All right. So you select the particular system and then you click Log On. Right, when you do that, it takes you to the SAP environment. So we're going to practicalize that now. So I'm going to double click, or you can click Log On, and then it brings you to the SAP environment. Right, so when it brings you to the SAP environment, you can see here our client number is 800. Okay, just to know that though for the technical people, client is a system, but for us in the functional area, the client is the business head, all right, the group head of that organization. Sometimes some people call it the parent company. All right, so that's the client. And then other subsidiaries will be within the client. Okay, so our client is 800. So I'm going to log on to the SAP system now. All right, so I imputed my username and password and I've logged in. Now, when you log onto the SAP system, I need to take very good note of this. The first place you log onto is called the SAP Easy Access. That's the first place you log on to, the SAP Easy Access. All right, and then you have the SAP menu here, where you go to different transactions. All right, so but first of all, let's just look at this quickly. So this is the menu bar. Is the topmost bar. It's called the menu bar. So you have different menus here. All right, then you have the standard toolbar. That's the next one. The standard toolbar does not change. It's standard across all applications. It does not change. The only thing is that those that are not relevant are grayed out. Okay, and then by the side of it you have the command field. Here you input transaction codes, or you can hear us call it T codes. Okay, these are transaction codes. Now let me so this is the transaction code to create a purchase requisition, ME51N, for instance. So if I double click this, it's going to create a purchase requisition. But if I type it here too, it's going to do the same thing. So let me first of all do this. Look at this, is the status bar. This is status bar, so you can see it's giving me status. Alright, so you see create purchase requisition, all these have also changed, but the standard bar remains the same. So let's go back. Now this ME51N, if I also type it here, it's going to take me to the same ME51N. Alright, and I click enter. This is your enter icon here. So it brings me here, same, create purchase requisition. So that was like a shortcut. Okay, that's like a shortcut. Alright, this is the different modules. This is the work area. So this is logistics, this is accounting, human resources. These are the three operational areas. Others are for administration and IT. Okay, so under the work area you have different modules. These are different modules. Okay, materials management, you have procurement and all that. So these are different modules. Okay, now this bar is called the title bar. You see, it will give you the title. It's very important for navigation because it gives you the title, shows you what you're doing per time. And then this is the application toolbar, gives shortcuts for the tools that are available for such application. Alright, and then at the bottom here you have the status bar that shows you the status of your transaction. If there is an error, it will show here with a red icon. If it is caution, it will show yellow with a caution, and of course green is to say it is fine. Okay, so we have I'm trying to see that I make this video within 1 hour. Okay, so I'm going to so the navigation, there are still some other tips on navigation. I'm going to put a link for the free training video that also covers navigation. It's actually the new user, general new user training. This particular training is for the those within supply chain. Okay, so but there is the training that's generally for all new users. All right, so let's go ahead and create a purchase requisition. So let's say, assuming there's a need for your department to purchase certain items, right? So you are given the responsibility to raise a purchase requisition. The purchase requisition is an internal document of an organization that is used to express their purchasing requirements. All right, so at that point there is a determination of requirement. All right, so it is used to determine the requirement per time for which is now being handled by the purchasing group or team. Okay, so this is starts from here. Let me just go back a bit. Logistics, materials management, then you have purchasing, and then purchase requisition. So if it doesn't exist before you create, if it exists, you can change or display. Changes if you have to do modification. Now remember that in the real business environment, one user is not given access to create, change, and display. most times those in operation create, those in management will do the changes or have such privilege to do it, while all of them can display. All right. So let's create something. All right, so this is my purchase requisition document. Say create requisition. So I'm going to, first step is to select my material that I want to purchase from the material master record. So I want this material. The material has this code. So at the bottom here, I click search. Alright, so this is it here for plant 1000. Okay, so because I'm using plant 1000, plant represents the company, the particular location or company location you are, or segment that you are doing the supply to. So I'm using plant 1000 as the code. I'm using storage location 001 as code, the code for the storage location that I'm using, and then I already have this, what quantity, let me say 100. Alright, so I'll press enter or click enter on your keyboard. Alright, now this particular document, this particular material is set for automatic source determination. So these are the sources that are qualified to help supply this item, which is a bearing case, 100 pieces of bearing case. All right, so these are different vendors that are being suggested. Now in this case, we're using automatic source determination, so this place is selected. If this place was not selected, you won't see this happen. All right, so let's select, let me just select this. Okay, let me select this. Good, so you see it here, that's the number 20003, 2000. So indicate who is the requisitioner. All right, so maybe the requisitioner is store or maintenance, bearing case. So let's say maintenance. It's also good to put a tracking number. So if I say maintenance, I will use MT for maintenance hyphen date 24th hyphen month 2 hyphen 22. That's 2022. All right, so with this tracking number, you are able to track your document per time. So you can add other items to them. All right, here is the details of the material. So you can see the material group is 001, which is metal processing, and the description is that it's a bearing case. This is the code, the material code, number code. Quantities and dates, set the quantities, and also this determines the delivery date that is proposed. Right, so you have valuation, that's where you have the price. So this is the price, 10.33 euro per pieces. For 100 you get this amount, and then invoice receipt is included. Of course, goods received by default is included. Account assignment, if it's a consumable item, you can assign it to a cost center if it's a consumable item. All right, source of supply, and so on. All right, so this is the way you can set you can create your purchase requisition. So you can add some other items, but for the purpose of time, I'm going to save this now. So if you want to save, you click here to save. All right, and then the system will generate. You see the system on the status bar. You see that the system has generated an internal number. Okay. So that's how you handle the system handles the material, and then from here the material is also passed on, information is passed on, and so on till it gets to the vendor, and then from vendor back to the organization, and from the organization to the customer. All right, so this is how the SAP system, and many more. All right, so you have you have different courses. I've shown you the different modules and the different skill levels. So you can do more by getting one of those modules, or two of them. You can also combine two. And but I think if you don't know how to use the ERP solution, you need that ASAP. You need to align your skill to the current trend of digital transformation. All right, thank you. I'm going to post the link for the other video, so you can as well go through it. Thank you. So this is the one I just did now. And this was a tax.